Making headlines this hour. President Dr. Muiz announces Foreign Counsel is currently being sought to assist in drafting a comprehensive statute to criminalize bullying and classify it as a formal criminal offense. The Maldives and Saudi Arabia reaffirms their commitment to expanding bilateral cooperation in trade, investment, and other areas of mutual interest during talks between President Mohammed Muiz and Saudi royal Prince Mansour bin Mutaib bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. And Vice President Hussein Mohammed Latif says the government is demonstrating good governance by fulfilling the needs of the people despite economic challenges.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammed Muiz announces Foreign Counsel is currently being sought to assist in drafting a comprehensive statute to criminalize bullying and classify it as a formal criminal offense.
The Attorney General's office is spearheading the legislative drafting process, a development President Muiz initially disclosed during a late April press conference. Speaking on the 5th episode of the Pulse podcast series, President Muiz noted that the administration is taking all possible measures to enforce stringent legal consequences against bullying, with the legislation serving as a cornerstone of those efforts. He noted officials are conducting the drafting process in close consultation with stakeholders and technical experts dedicated to combating bullying. Community assistance is required to resolve the issues of bullying, President Muiz asserted, adding that the government is working to establish holistic health and provide necessary psychological support. He observed the administration is actively endeavoring to bolster mental well-being and improve broad access to psychiatric treatments. President Muiz added that officials are working relentlessly to ensure the National Mental Health Helpline becomes a robust system for the public. President Muiz remarked, Asanda, the National Health Insurance Scheme, has provided vital relief through mental health treatment coverage. He stated the administration is developing a new facility while advancing strategic initiatives to expand psychiatric services at existing hospitals. The proposed legislation will detail regulatory matters, mandate reporting, and integrate educational materials into school curricula.
Vice President Hussein Mohammed Latif says the government is demonstrating good governance by fulfilling the needs of the people despite economic challenges. He made the remarks in a social media post following the completion and opening of the first phase of the Bodutak-Rufano-Magu Road development in Male. In his post, the Vice President said the project will provide major relief for people traveling to and from the city and help ease traffic congestion. He said the development brings a historic change to the cityscape of Male. The Vice President also thanked President Dr. Mohammed Muiz for prioritizing important development projects needed by the people and the attention he gives to the country's development. 5 segments of Bodutak-Rufano-Magu in Male have been completed and open to the public under the first phase of the road development project. As part of the first phase, a 700-meter section of Bodutak-Rufano-Magu from the Hemveru ferry terminal to the Izzuddin jetty has been asphalted. The project included a partial reclamation of the lagoon area to widen the road and expand into a 4-lane road, asphalt paving of 1.145 kilometers, installation of drainage systems, and a dedicated parking zone for 500 motorcycles. Prince Dr. Mansour bin Mutaib bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud arrives in the Maldives to attend celebrations marking the country's 61st Independence Day.
Prince Mansour, advisor to the custodian of the two holy mosques, Minister of State and cabinet member of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is attending the celebrations as the guest of honor on behalf of the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. His visit comes at the invitation of Maldivian President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. The Saudi royal was welcomed at Valana International Airport by Foreign Minister Irtisham Adam and Principal Secretary to the President on Foreign Relations Mohammed Nasir. On arrival, Prince Mansour was accorded a Guard of Honor by the Maldives National Defense Force, or MNDF, in keeping with official protocol for visiting dignitaries. The visit reflects the close diplomatic ties between the Maldives and Saudi Arabia as the island nation commemorates the 61st anniversary of its independence.
The Maldives and Saudi Arabia reaffirms their commitment to expanding bilateral cooperation in trade, investment, and other areas of mutual interest during talks between President Mohamed Muiz and Saudi royal Prince Mansour bin Mutaib bin Abdulaziz Al Saud.
Prince Mansour, advisor to the custodian of the two holy mosques, Minister of State and cabinet member of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is attending the celebrations as the guest of honor on behalf of the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. His visit comes at the invitation of Maldivian President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. The Saudi royal was welcomed at Valana International Airport by Foreign Minister Irtisham Adam and Principal Secretary to the President on Foreign Relations Mohammed Nasir. On arrival, Prince Mansour was accorded a Guard of Honor by the Maldives National Defense Force, or MNDF, in keeping with official protocol for visiting dignitaries. The visit reflects the close diplomatic ties between the Maldives and Saudi Arabia as the island nation commemorates the 61st anniversary of its independence. The Maldives and Saudi Arabia reaffirms their commitment to expanding bilateral cooperation in trade, investment, and other areas of mutual interest during talks between President Mohamed Muiz and Saudi royal Prince Mansour bin Mutaib bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. Prince Dr. Mansour paid a courtesy call on the president at the president's office after receiving a ceremonial welcome upon his arrival in Male. During the meeting, President Dr. Muiz thanked the Saudi leadership for accepting his invitation to attend the official celebrations marking the 61st anniversary of the Maldives' independence. He also expressed gratitude for Saudi Arabia's continued support to the Maldives, particularly through the Makkah Route Initiative, which has significantly eased travel arrangements for Maldivian pilgrims. Prince Dr. Mansour said the Saudi leadership has always placed special importance on the development and welfare of the Maldives. The discussions also focused on further strengthening the long-standing brotherly relations and bilateral cooperation between the two countries, founded on shared faith, mutual respect, and common values. Both sides explored opportunities to expand cooperation in trade, investment, and other areas of mutual interest. Prince Dr. Mansour is visiting the Maldives as the guest of honor for the official celebrations marking the 61st anniversary of independence. He is attending on behalf of the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, at the invitation of President Dr. Muiz.
The Maldives and Bangladesh reaffirms their commitment to expanding cooperation in education, multilateral engagement, and people-to-people exchanges following talks between President Dr. Mohamed Muiz and Bangladesh's Foreign Minister Dr. Khalilur Rahman. Dr. Khalilur Rahman, who is visiting the Maldives as the special guest of the government for the country's 61st Independence Day celebrations, paid a courtesy call on President Muiz at the president's office. According to the president's office, the discussions focused on strengthening bilateral relations with particular emphasis on enhancing collaboration in multilateral forums, creating more education opportunities, and promoting closer ties between the people of the two countries. President Muiz welcomed the visiting foreign minister and expressed appreciation for his participation in the Independence Day celebrations. Both sides also underscored the long-standing friendship and close bilateral relations between the Maldives and Bangladesh, reaffirming their commitment to expanding cooperation in areas of mutual interest for both the benefit of both countries. The meeting comes as the Maldives and Bangladesh continue to maintain close diplomatic ties with cooperation spanning labor, trade, education, and regional affairs. The Maldives High Commission in Sri Lanka hosts a special reception in Colombo to commemorate the 61st Independence Day of the Republic of Maldives, with a strong emphasis on further strengthening the long-standing political and social ties between the two countries.
The event was attended by 528 guests, including Sri Lankan ministers, provincial governors, deputy ministers, senior military officers, government officials, ambassadors, and diplomats based in Sri Lanka, and prominent members of the business community. The reception was graced by Sri Lanka's Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, who conveyed his Independence Day greetings to the government and people of the Maldives during his address. He also highlighted the historic relationship between the Maldives and Sri Lanka, noting that the agreement recognizing the Maldives' independence was signed in Sri Lanka, underscoring the country's place in the Maldives' history. Maldives High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Masood Imad, also addressed the gathering, reflecting on the deep historical ties between the two nations. In his speech, the High Commissioner described President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's official visit to Sri Lanka in May this year as a significant milestone that elevated bilateral relations to a new level. He also thanked Maldivian and Sri Lankan companies for their support in organizing the reception. The event also showcased the Maldives' rich cultural heritage through a variety of traditional performances. These included Bodoberu procession as well as other traditional performances. The cultural items were performed by Maldivians living in Sri Lanka and Maldivian students pursuing their education in the country.
Blue Synergy Investments and London-based Emerald Corporates agrees to jointly develop the Tha Island Cluster Sustainable Township, a $175 million sustainable township project in Tha Atoll.
The two companies signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, to develop the project, which is expected to become one of the largest private sector investments in an atoll in the Maldives. The township will be developed as an environmentally sustainable and modern community under a multi-island concept. It will include residential facilities, commercial and leisure services, and other amenities required for day-to-day living. The developers also plan to place a strong emphasis on the use of renewable energy throughout the project. According to Blue Synergy Investments, the project is expected to generate significant economic benefits for the region while creating numerous employment opportunities. The project will be led operationally by Blue Synergy Managing Director Mohammad Fayaz, who will oversee all operational aspects of its implementation. The company described the development as a major contribution to the Maldives tourism industry and broader socio-economic development. Invest Maldives said the announcement comes as work also continues on the Isla Sustainable Township project in Noon Atoll. Developed by Crystal Holdings Private Limited, the Noon Atoll project represents a $790 million investment equivalent to 12.2 billion Maldivian rupiah.
According to the latest fiscal reports released by the Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises, deposits to the Sovereign Development Fund, or SDF, have reached $77.82 million.
The reports show that as of the 16th of July, deposits to the SDF totaled $77.82 million, representing a 9% increase compared with the $71.34 million deposited during the same period last year. The increase comes as government spending on debt repayment has also risen significantly. The reports show that the government has spent $603.11 million on repayment loans so far this year, a 190% increase compared with $207.52 million spent during the corresponding period in 2025. The government also utilized funds deposited in the SDF to repay the $500 million loan that matured earlier this year. The Sovereign Development Fund was established by the government to meet financial obligations arising from emergencies, repay large loans taken to finance development projects, and cushion the economy against external shocks. The fund is separate from the Maldives Monetary Authority's or MMA official foreign exchange reserves. Established in 2016, the SDF receives revenue from three main sources: the airport development fee collected from departing passengers, dividends paid from the government's shareholding in Maldives Airports Company Limited or MACL, which operates Valana International Airport, and additional revenue generated from increases in fees charged for certain airport services.
The Maldives Monetary Authority, or MMA, rolls out a fresh survey to gauge the expenditure patterns of Maldivians traveling abroad, the first such effort since 2018. Running from the 25th to the 31st of July, the data collection initiative will be stationed in the Arrival Hall of Valana International Airport, or VIA, where MMA staff will invite arriving passengers to participate voluntarily. The questionnaire will capture key details such as the primary purpose of each trip, the destination country, ticket and accommodation costs, medical expenses, and total trip expenditure. Importantly, the survey will not collect personal identifiers like names or addresses, while the MMA has emphasized that all responses will remain confidential and used solely for analytical purposes. MMA has urged the traveling public to cooperate fully, noting that the insights gathered will help inform monetary policy, foreign exchange planning, and broader economic assessments of outbound tourism trends. Insights into world business. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung hosts an AI summit in San Francisco, bringing together the heads of NVIDIA, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Broadcom with top South Korean business figures to accelerate efforts by Seoul to make the country a global AI powerhouse.
In opening remarks, Lee said South Korea would lead the way to a new era of AI in partnership with global technology companies. Lee separately met NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, and Broadcom CEO Hock Tan before joining the South Korean government-backed summit in San Francisco. Samsung Electronics Executive Chairman J.Y. Lee, SK Group Chairman Che Taiwan, Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chair Yui-san Chung, and Naver founder Lee Hae-jin also attended the summit. President Lee delivered a keynote address unveiling a San Francisco AI Declaration that outlined South Korea's AI ambitions and its vision for technological cooperation with the United States. According to South Korean officials, about 150 executives, investors, researchers, and startup founders attended the summit. On the sidelines of the conference, NVIDIA and SK Group unveiled a $500 billion plus AI initiative spanning large-scale AI data centers and next-generation memory. As part of the agreement, SK Telecom plans to build a 2-gigawatt data center powered by Vera Rubin chips and SK Hynix HBM4 high-bandwidth memory chips. The data center is due online in 2027.
Updates on international affairs. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric says UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is deeply alarmed by a renewed campaign of Houthi attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea after Yemen's Houthis claimed strikes on 2 oil tankers a day earlier.
The Houthis said they had targeted the tankers, raising concerns about a potential new threat to global energy supplies alongside disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz.
The Secretary General is deeply alarmed by the resumption of Houthi attacks on commercial vessels transiting in the Red Sea and the renewed threats to maritime navigation. The attacks on commercial vessels claimed by the Houthis risk further heightening regional tensions and widening of the current cycle of escalation, with the potential to draw Yemen deeper into the regional conflict. Further hostilities in Yemen will undermine prospects for peace and cause serious economic, humanitarian, and environmental consequences across and beyond the region.
Dujarric warned that the attacks risked escalating tensions across the region and could draw Yemen further into a wider conflict. He said renewed fighting would undermine efforts to secure peace in Yemen and could have broad economic, humanitarian, and environmental repercussions. Guterres called for an immediate de-escalation and urged the Houthis to halt any further attacks in line with UN Security Council resolutions demanding an end to assaults on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. He added that freedom of navigation through the Bab al-Mandab Strait, a critical maritime choke point linking the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, must be restored. The Houthis' threat to shipping has heightened fears of disruptions to one of the world's most important oil transport routes at a time when traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has already come under severe pressure from regional tensions.
Venezuela's foreign minister says the country has formally notified the United Nations of its irrevocable decision to withdraw from the International Criminal Court, which had been conducting a multi-year investigation into members of its armed forces and other officials.
The government justified the move by alleging a geographical bias within the court, claiming it disproportionately targets nations in the global south, specifically across Africa and Latin America, Felix Placentia said in a post on X. Echoing his words, acting President Delcy Rodriguez said the institution had been used to target the country. The move had been expected since December, when Venezuela's National Assembly voted, a month before the U.S. removed former President Nicolas Maduro from power, to repeal a law ratifying the Rome Statute, paving the way for the withdrawal. The court, which was established to prosecute war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and the crime of aggression when member states are unwilling or unable to do so themselves, has been investigating alleged crimes against humanity in Venezuela.
Moving on to news and sports, LeBron James announces his decision to join the Philadelphia 76ers for his record-extending 24th NBA season.
The league's all-time leading scorer spent the last 8 seasons of his glittering career with the Los Angeles Lakers, leading them to a title in 2020 after 2 separate stints with the Cleveland Cavaliers and 4 years with the Miami Heat.
I had a moment, obviously when it happened, and embracing that moment and seeing my family and my friends and, people that's been, around me since I started this journey, even before the NBA. So, definitely had a moment right there, very emotional, just to, knowing just, me be from a kid from a small town in Ohio. And I had a moment there, but I don't think it's really hit me on what just transpired. As much as I tried to live in the moment, it was kind of a blur.
The 41-year-old James, who last March surpassed Robert Parrish's record for most career regular season games played, has continued to perform at an elite level despite his age. He earned a league record 22nd consecutive All-Star selection last February during a season in which he averaged 20.9 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 7.2 assists over 60 games.
Concluding with news and entertainment, a ring-tailed lemur born at Colombia's Cali Zoo in June progresses well under assisted hand-rearing after veterinarians detected a lack of maternal contact during its first 8 hours of life.
According to zoo veterinarian Camilo Mendoza, the baby lemur named Diana was removed from her mother after staff observed her being left on the ground for prolonged periods, abnormal behavior for primates whose infants must remain clinging to parents constantly. The infant weighed 70 grams at birth and now weighs 88.1 grams under 24-hour monitoring by veterinarians, zookeepers, biologists, and nutritionists. Care includes feeding with milk replacer every 2 hours, incubation for temperature regulation, and strategies to reduce human imprinting, such as using a stuffed toy to simulate the mother during feeding. Ring-tailed lemurs are endemic to Madagascar and listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature due to habitat loss, hunting, and illegal trafficking. The Cali Zoo emphasized the case forms part of its conservation work for threatened species.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.